But we want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship right now. And what does that mean, and how does it, how can we manifest it to a greater extent here in Huntington Beach? We're going to hear from some people that are deeply involved in that activity. And that activity is actually creating small business, the backbone of our economy, not only here, but throughout the country. So at this time, I'm going to invite Rachel Ramirez, who is the owner of Performance Excellence Partners, who's going to act as our moderator for this panel. And then with her, Alicia Whitney from CIELO, John Hobson from the CIELO Program, Don DiConstanzo from Pedigo electric bikes, and Bob McKnight, one of the founders of Quicksilver. So if they could all come to the stage, and I will turn the microphone over to Rachel. Rachel?
Thank you, Jerry, and good morning. Welcome again to the 29th Annual Economic Development Conference. I have the distinct honor of facilitating the Entrepreneurship Panel, Observation and Insights. Again, my name is Rachel Ramirez, and I'm founder and CEO of Performance Excellence Partners. I've had the honor and privilege of doing business in Huntington Beach for the last 13 years, been in business for 16 years, and we primarily do federal government contracting, and so it's an absolute joy to be around entrepreneurs. Now today we're looking forward to hearing from this amazing panel that we have here, their insights, their knowledge for local businesses that have been doing business in Huntington Beach for some time, how they've grown their companies, and what they've done to be successful here in Huntington Beach. Please join me in welcoming this distinguished panel. Bob McKnight founded Quicksilver nearly 40 years ago after foregoing a business degree to become a surfer. Turned out to be a smart business move because in 1976, Bob started selling Quicksilver surfing apparel on beaches and boardwalks across California. Quicksilver has a global presence with 3 distinct brands grounded in the company's surfer, skateboarding, and snowboarding roots. You'll find Quicksilver brands in more than 1,500 stores around the world. Thank you for taking the time to share your experience, Bob. Don DiConstanzo, after nearly a 30-year career in the automotive world, Don traded in 4 wheels for 2. He started his electric bike shop in Newport Beach as a labor of love. In 2008, he and his business partner founded Pedigo electric bikes. Today, Pedigo is a market leader and one of the most recognized electric bike brands in the world with dealers nationwide. Welcome to Beyond the Beach, Don. John Hobson is a self-proclaimed serial entrepreneur and current CEO of CIELO, which stands for Community for Innovation, Entrepreneurship, Leadership, and Opportunities. After leading marketing efforts for large online retailers, John launched a number of companies himself. He combines his experience as a marketer, entrepreneur, and advocate of nonprofits in his work with CIELO. It's great to have you here, John. Alicia Whitney. Alicia is CEO and founder of CIELO Wine Bar and the new Sea Salt Wood Fire Grill. I've had the pleasure of dining at CIELO many times, looking forward to Sea Salt. Alicia has over 14 years of experience in business strategy, marketing, brand development, event production, public relations for the hospitality, entertainment, food and beverage industries. Now she's created her own successful hospitality brand with the emerging Project Restaurant Group. They are on a mission to create a culinary adventure infused with the distinct vibe of Surf City, USA. Thanks for joining us, Alicia. Now that we've got 4 of our best and brightest local business talent together in one place, let's take advantage of their expertise. While you all obviously started your business, I see one common thread, which is a place of passion. What was your path to becoming an entrepreneur? Sure.
Is this on? Okay. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I don't know. I just grew up being a surfer. I grew up actually inland in Pasadena and San Marino, and pretty hard to get to the beach, but I used to con my sister into driving me down here, and right out here is the first place I really touched the ocean for the first time and rode my first wave, pushed into it. And I just thought it was magical, the whole feeling of being on something where the actual medium's moving to, and I just fell in love with the sport. From there, I went to USC, got a business degree, started traveling quite a bit, making surf films, all this sort of stuff around the industry, and then eventually I was introduced to these shorts coming out of Australia that seemed amazing, and I had a really great partner in Jeff Hackman, a very famous surfer, and we decided to just see what we could do. And for me, I graduated from the School of Business at USC, and if you do that, if you go away and do a little business career, entrepreneurship, whatever, for a year, you could go back and get a master's degree in 1 year. So that was my plan. I was going to drive them down the coast, sell these board shorts, make some money, have fun, hang out with Jeff, surf, and then go back to school and get my master's degree. So how did that work out for me?
Okay, Don?
I didn't start out as an entrepreneur. I went to work in corporate America, and I'm one that when I got to be about 50 years old, I got displaced by corporate America, a little disenchanting from that, working for 25 years for a company finally to get to become a CEO, and then the world changed because a bigger company acquired it. So my step to entrepreneurship was forced, I think. I think I was 50 and realized that probably nobody was going to hire me at 50. So I decided to start my own business. So I first acquired a company, had a bankruptcy, turned it around and sold it, and then I wanted to find something I really liked to do. So in that process, I learned a little bit about electric bicycles, and I lived at the top of a hill, and I loved to ride my bike down to the beach, but I didn't like going up the hill afterwards. And I discovered the opportunity that there was for electric bikes, that they were still undiscovered, and that people were a little bit reluctant about them and weren't knowledgeable about them. This was back in 2007, and from that point forward, I just began to, piece by piece, put together a program. We opened our first retail store here in Huntington Beach. It's still there at 5th and Olive, and out of that store, Pedigo store, we now have 70 just like it, scattered around the world, and we expect to open another 30 this year. So it's a stepping stone, but people that leave the corporate world and want to become an entrepreneur, you begin wearing all hats, and you have to realize you wear all hats, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of rewarding, and there's a lot of challenges as well.
I've always been sort of an entrepreneur. As a kid, I was always creating businesses and selling things and doing things on the side. After I graduated college, I worked for a number of startups out of an incubator and research park in the Midwest, and realized I really liked smaller companies. Had a great run there, but then realized this .com boom was happening, so I took advantage of that, worked in some high-growth companies, some technology companies, and then actually started working for Fortune 25 companies in very entrepreneurial roles. We were starting the e-commerce divisions of large retailers, and that was exciting. We had high growth. You had the benefit of a big brand, a lot more capital, but they kind of left us alone, so we could do our own little startup within a big company. But quickly realized that the big company culture wasn't for me after a few years. It's too political and such. And when my wife and I moved out here 10 years ago from the Midwest, I started my own business and have been starting and growing businesses since. So I think we've built 3 businesses in Orange County, and just recently started with CIELO, that's based at Golden West College.
Well, I think I got in this business when I was about 21 years old, and I kind of just went towards the light, and I did what I loved. Every step of the process has been really competing with myself, getting to be the best I could be in my job or my sector, and then trying to be better in the next chapter until I eventually became my own business owner and entrepreneur. And I think the key piece of that was learning how to become a good leader and to be able to lead a team, because it wasn't just me that did this, it was the team that did this, but my skill was being the leader of that team. And so I think all those processes along the way had gained me the skills to be able to be a business owner and a leader of the group.
Great.
So.
Thank you. Okay, when starting a business, how important is it to center around something you're passionate about as opposed to chasing trends or sure things? And what about experience? Is it important?
I think the passion part's the most important thing. I speak for all of us, I think. When you go out and you're putting your time and your effort and your energy and your blood, sweat, and tears, all that into a project, it's got to be something that you're 1000% passionate about. For me, it was surfing, like I said earlier, and so two of our brands, we do 3 brands, Quicksilver, Roxy, and DC. But the Quicksilver Roxy part is really all about, we have this saying at Quicksilver that half the world's population lives at or near the beach, and the other half can't wait to get there. We all love the beach. That's why we're here in Beach City with our company, and our other headquarters are at great beaches in the world also, and down in Torquay in Australia, and in Hossegor in France. So for us, it's all about the passion for surfing, and to me, I think there's got to be a thread of that through everything we do.
For me, I always liked my jobs, and for the first 30 years of my career, I enjoyed what I did. I liked it, but I never loved it, and I never really knew what it was like to love something you do. And now that I love it, it's not work anymore. So people say, "Well, you work a lot." I said, "Well, I don't work at all because it's love to me." So if you can find something that's your hobby and it's your passion all at the same time, then every day's almost like being on vacation. So I encourage anybody that doesn't love what they do to find something that they do love, because it changes everything.
So you're all entrepreneurs. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a different question. Who or what was the most influential in assisting you when you were first starting?
I would say my husband was. Honestly, I have a really great partner, and he believed in me from the very beginning, and he pushed me to keep going out there and keep trying and not give up. And every time I wanted to fall on my face or just cry myself to sleep because things weren't working right, he was the one who said, "You wanted this, you chose this, and go out there and do it. And you're lucky enough and able to be able to do what you want to do with your life, so go out there and do it." And so honestly, without him, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I thank him probably the most.
Yeah. For me, it was mentors. When I was young, I had some really strong mentors and people that had been successful in business that took me under their wing. They showed me what they had learned and shared their experiences. So I can't thank them enough for all that they gave me and gave back. They didn't have to do that, but they did because they wanted to give back. They wanted to help others. And so that really instilled in me that that's an important piece of building your business is helping others. And I've seen that with everyone up here is they share. They want to share and help others. So to me, mentors at the beginning, and then later in life, it was spouse. She continues to allow me to do what I want to do, and I can't thank her enough.
Great, thank you. If I'm thinking about starting a business, where should I locate that business, and why is now a great time to start a business in Huntington Beach?
Well, I'll start with that since I have the idea of starting a business is exciting. Huntington Beach is obviously an awesome place to do it, particularly if you're beach related. I think the economic forecast kind of stole some of my thunder about that. We've got obviously a good economic environment, so we won't talk about that. But you have to think that there's 2 locations for your business, even though you might have only 1 physical location. Equally important, maybe even more important, is your online presence. And that is a huge piece of real estate. And I kind of figured that early on that I wanted to dominate that space. And over the past 6 or 7 years, we're rated 1.5 on Google, which means we're either number 1 or number 2 when somebody searches on electric bikes. And that's really critical. On a local business level, you can grab that on a local basis, or if you're a big brand company like Quicksilver is, you want to get it on a broad basis. You have to pick those names. So picking your physical location, very, very important. You want to be where your customers are. As they say, you go fishing where the fish are. That's very important, but equally important is your space on the internet. And that includes social media, your website, the speed of it, the time and money you invest. You have to consider that equal investment to your physical location.
I think that Huntington Beach is in a really neat time period right now. I mean, if you look around at the communities around us and you look at just in this room and how much we are thriving. For years, Huntington Beach was known as Main Street. And not the community, which was the really hidden gem about Huntington Beach, or the people who lived here and all the communities around it and all of our great schools. Well, now all of those schools and that community is being showcased. I mean, now we've got developments that are all around our city. And so with that, that's bringing new money, it's bringing new people, it's bringing new residents to our city, and it's a great time to do business here. As being a restaurant owner here, I mean, we definitely feel the economy because we can see when people are coming in and dining and having a great time. I gotta tell you, I mean, you guys are out all the time. You guys are out all the time and you're having a good time, and this is a great place to live and play and work. And so we are very lucky to be able to be business owners in Huntington Beach.
All right. How many different ways are there to start as a new entrepreneur? How many different ways? Like maybe franchising, starting your own business, home-based. You guys talk about that?
Well, the first way to do it is just to start independent. Say, I've got an idea, I want to do this. You want to make a new coffee cup, you can do that. That's really not a business, that's just an idea. But you have to develop that into a business. You've got to get a business license, you've got to do that. So that's kind of the hardest way to do it. The next easiest way to do is to become a franchisee, where you go to a company that's got skilled expertise, that knows what they're doing, that gives you all the things, the boilerplate. Those are the two ideas I have.
Okay. Bob, did you want to add to that?
I was just going to say, for us, it was, maybe I'm old school. In fact, in my industry, they call me a tribal elder now. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I like having physical products that you make and you can look at and you can use and you can see people's eyes light up when they wear them, him or her. And so for us, it was always, for us, it was just a business with physical products. And it's, it's expanded greatly, obviously, all around the world. But for us, it's, starts and begins with product. We work on that all the time. And like we just heard, that you can manifest that product delivery system, the marketing of it, the people organized to do it in different ways, franchising, distributorships, having your physical sales people on the road. I mean, there's also different ways to deliver it, but for us, it was really important to always make product that we could be proud of.
I personally think it's fairly unlimited. I mean, I'm always amazed at new companies and innovation that's happening that's in the service industry. But whether you're building something or you're creating a service that's filling a need, and so it's just finding that need that you want to fulfill and build your business around that.
All right, great. Now, it sounds like there's a lot of great opportunities for starting a business here in Huntington Beach. But getting businesses off the ground doesn't happen overnight. We all know that small business needs cash to start and grow. Many small business owners and entrepreneurs struggle to find funding. What are your ideas?
Well, for us, like I said before, it was a one-year project, so we had you'll hear the opposite of what you hear from any, professor or whatever. We had no business plan, we had no cash flow statement, we had nothing on paper at all. It was simply build some board shorts, go up and down the coast, sell them to, one of our first accounts was right here in Huntington Beach. But it was, and then you're sort of robbing Peter to pay Paul. We did that for a while, and then eventually we had a couple people come in and bring us some money, and then we went through a few partners. There's a whole lesson about partners also that I could spend hours on, but and eventually we went public after about 12 years of being in business, and that's what really financed our company. And that was back in the days when being a public company wasn't the amount of scrutiny on them as there is today, and Sarbanes-Oxley and board of directors and audit committees and all the stuff you have to go through now. So back then it was just a different way to finance the company. For myself, I was really, at about that point, 12 years into this career, I had a wife and kids, and and this whole apparel thing, I mean, all I've ever heard about my whole life is how risky it is, and it's going to fall off the cliff at any second, and everyone said we'd never get bigger than $10 million, and then we did that, and then they're never going to get to $20 million, and then it was 100, then it was 500, then it was $1 billion, then eventually we're a $2.5 billion company. But so we use the public offering as that mechanism to finance, because after 12 years, I didn't want to be signing those guarantees at the bank and having everything I had at risk and all that. So there's many ways to finance these things, but the startup monies are probably the most difficult, interesting, whatever descriptive you want to put on it, but the early days are pretty tough.
Yeah, we focus mainly on people that are unbankable at CIELO. So that's people that can't go to the bank and get a loan. And what I find interesting is that everyone thinks, well, if I just had $100,000, someone would give that to me, I could start my business. It's actually kind of better to bootstrap it, keep the equity. It's tough, But the longer you can do that and bootstrap your business, the better off you're going to be. And realize that you don't need as much money as you think you need. So you have to get a little more creative. You're a little more efficient with your money. So there are ways out there. There's friends and family. There's ways that you can fund it yourself. But be creative early on. And there's access to capital out there. You just have to be a little bit more creative and not go for the full amount at the beginning. Take it in tranches and take it a little bit smaller pieces and get traction before you go for the bigger dollars.
Right, great. Small businesses say that finding qualified workers remains one of the biggest challenges. How do you all handle that?
I think it starts from the top, really. I mean, I think with a good leadership team and then developing a good leadership team underneath you. We always joke around with the project, but there's 3 key words, and it's hire, train, motivate. Hire the right people, train them the right way, then keep them motivated. And if you have done all 3 of those things and you still have found you don't have the right employee, then maybe they weren't the right employee for you. So I really do think that it starts from having leadership at the top and then building leadership with each category within your business.
The other challenge is, of course, getting the right people. And early in my career, somebody said that always hire the best and the brightest. Because if you don't have anybody that's intelligent, you can't really teach them that. So the other thing that I'm always on the look for people, whether it's a restaurant server or somebody who I've dealt with somewhere along, I'm always looking to recruit talent. And it doesn't have to be from within the same industry. You really want to look for people skills, particularly when you're in a retail business. So always be on the look. If you meet somebody and you find out they may be looking for a changing of career, have some dialogue with them, get to know them a little bit, exchange contact information, because you almost always have to be on recruiting, particularly if you have a growing company.
Okay, all right. When you're busy running the day-to-day operations of your business, how do you find the time to step back and assess the health of your business, your cash flow, employees, profitability, customer reach, and retention?
Well, that is a really important feature of us as entrepreneurs and bosses, or whatever you call us, because you really are pulled all the time by work and family and pleasure and the things you try to keep in balance. And I teach a lot, actually, and to young kids and all that, mentor a lot of people, and that's really something you really have to be stern about and teach and do, is to keep the balance in your life. Otherwise, the work's always going to be there. There's always going to be more emails. There's more things to do, phone calls to make, whatever. But you really have to create balance in your life, and otherwise, I think you'll just be a mess. And I don't know. I try to get people who come in and have that same attitude. And we have this thing about, at one point we had 7,000 employees. It's down to about 6,000 now. But you can't. It's always. You can interview people, study their resume till you're blue in the face, and there's probably still like a 50-50 chance of whether that person's going to be the right person for that job, motivation, etc. But we try to find people that buy into the culture. We hope that they do something in the outdoor world of sports, So then, if they don't understand those sports and those activities and the freedom of those things and the happiness of those things, then they're probably never going to understand, working inside our company. So we try to, go for that Jack Welch thing about 90% of it is culture. You want people that understand and buy into the culture, and then the work skills is over here. Obviously they have to be there, but culture is the most important thing for us.
Does that cover it? Okay, all right, great. Okay, what books, magazines, blogs, or email lists do you keep up to date and competitive to be competitive in today's markets?
There's so many, right? I really believe in the power of The Secret. I don't know if anybody's watched this, and I preach it to my team all the time. But it's just the power of positive thinking and the power of going out there and getting what you want in this world, whatever it may be, by considering yourself an energy source and attracting the energy that you give out. And I really feel like we could all learn whatever we need to know to be able to do our jobs. But if we don't have the will, and we're not putting out the right type of energy, how are we going to attract what we want back? And so it really starts from within. And so before I can say how do you do all these jobs, it has to come from within yourself to be able to go out there and get it and want more and know that the energy that you're putting out is the energy you're getting back. And so I'm really a big proponent of The Secret and positive thinking and anything along that way. And I'm sure the team over there in the corner they're probably rolling their eyes right now, but I make them watch it and live by it every day. But it's definitely helped, and I've watched everybody just turn around by living that way.
Okay.
Social media is the best tool in the world if you use it properly. And so I spend a lot of time watching what goes on. You know, part of building a business is building a brand. And what a brand is, in my definition, is what people say about you when you're not around. Well, you say, how do I know what people say about me when I'm not around, or about my brand? It's easy. You go on social media. There's a lot of different sites you can go to. You go to socialmention.com and you can put in your name or your company name, and you can see what everybody's saying about you. So I monitor that on a daily basis. In our case, we have an owners group that have gotten very active on their own, independent. I monitor that. We keep an eye on what people are saying, and if we see any kind of anybody that's unsatisfied for any reason whatsoever, we reach out to that person and we solve whatever problem they have. Because today, your voice is not just what you say to the person next to you, it's what goes on social media. And it's an awesome tool from a marketing standpoint to be able to use it in a very positive way.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say it's almost information overload, though, out there with social media, and there's all these inputs, and that can be almost distracting during the day, so you have to find the tools to manage that. Otherwise, you could just kill 3 hours in one sitting doing that. So things like Hootsuite is a software package I use that creates dashboards around different topics, and it funnels everything in for me. So find those tools that work for you, because otherwise it can get distracting, though.
Okay, great. We've talked a lot about attracting customers, but I'd like to take a moment to talk about the experience you provide your customers once you bring them in. What ways are you providing more individualized, personalized, and positive customer experience?
Well, we do a lot of experiential, we call it experiential retail now. It used to be just a store full of clothes, but now it's got to be experiential. And I really think that is the future for our industry. And as you might know, there's probably 400 companies within 10 miles of here that deal in our space. We were sort of first, but after 40 years, there's 400 of them. And so there's a kind of a lot of times we can be caught in a sea of sameness with us and our brethren tribal brands. You know, you got Hurley, Volcom, Billabong, all the rest of them. So we all compete in the same space, and now we're being inundated with competition from the outside, from the Under Armours and the Lululemons and all this stuff. But so for us, we really try to create a real experience when you go into our retail, and it's easy when you have a surf shop that has the surfboards and wetsuits and all that on the racks, because kids go in there and they want to feel the surfboards and try on the wetsuits and do whatever they do in there. Maybe meet a girl, meet a guy. It's like a whole exchange in a physical nature and also a spiritual nature of being in these stores. But when you get outside of the surf shop arena, it's really hard to just put a bunch of clothes on a rack. So we have these stores in Europe we call board riders clubs, and they're big. They're 20, 30,000 square feet with all three of our brands. And inside we have a bar and a cafe and a little skate park. We have a barber shop. We have a custom area. We do yoga on Thursday nights. We have MMA training on Tuesday night. We have a band that comes in Friday. We have movies kind of every night with places where kids can sit and watch the movies. So it's a real, and that's the sort of format that we're going to from now on. And we're looking for locations in America actually right now. But we'd like to do, another 50 of those stores on the planet, because it's the only way that I think we can survive is by presenting this format that people can come in and really get into our brands and feel them and touch them and work them and feel part of the whole vibe of the culture. So for us, it's experiential retail.
Ditto for us. Everything for us is getting people to ride our bikes. So we're setting up operations all over the world that do rentals of them, do tours on them, and that ultimately perhaps would buy one. But even if they don't buy one, they experience it. And what Bob has said is exactly where we're growing our stores. Each one of them will be an experience center individually.
Okay.
Oh, well, I think the experience starts for us in the restaurant world with just walking through your door and feeling like you've left whatever worry you had in the day at the threshold of that door and walking over and feeling like your new environment and enjoying living in the moment. So that is part of our experience within restaurants, which is easy to do because we're feeding you and we're drinking you and you're having a good time. But part of that is also a standards of excellence within service and making sure that our manager is touching all the tables, making sure that our servers are well trained, they're well versed in the menu, and making sure we don't have any customers leave unhappy, and doing whatever we can to make sure that doesn't happen. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts in the restaurant world, so it is a constant challenge, but we stay on top of it, and we have weekly meetings, and we make sure every night there's reports and everybody's communicating well together. And then we follow that up with social media, because in our world, it's the world of Yelp and Google and Facebook and all these reviews everywhere. And honestly, I live on the opposite end of the spectrum, where I refuse to open Yelp and read the reviews because I don't like to have the negative energy. Instead, I just like to focus on us being the best we can be with our own four walls, and then the rest will follow. But with that being said, we follow up with social media on a different end, where we tag people in photos on Instagram, and we make sure to talk to them on Facebook and share their experiences on our social media pages so that people can see what the experience is like when you walk into our restaurants.
Okay, great. Thank you. Technology and customer expectations are changing at a rapid pace. A lot of small businesses struggle to keep up. How do you create a culture in your company that promotes innovation and embraces change?
I think the most important thing is to let the people who have knowledge about it have free rein. Let them go out and do it. I'm a big believer in education, and we send our people to the best training classes they can and to conferences so that they understand what's going on. Particularly when you get to the social media world, it's changing dramatically, and what was true today probably wasn't true a year ago and probably won't be true tomorrow. So it's important that they stay up. So I'd say the most important thing is to make sure the people in your organization are trained and knowledgeable and have the skills at their disposal to do the best job they can.
Okay. All right. Can you tell us about a setback or a failure, an opportunity, and what you learned from it and how you moved forward?
Oh, God.
We are out of time.
Good. I would say, it's pretty obvious. Our biggest setback was in 2005. We bought this little company in Europe called Rossignol that just killed us. I'm done now. No. So, it's a great brand. I'm sure you've all heard of Rossignol. We were in the surf world, surf, skate, snow, and we felt like we were like the biggest fish by a mile in a very small pond. So we thought we could step out into the outdoor world, which was kind of emerging at that point with hike, bike, climb, ski, all these things, and which are really prevalent today. So we searched for a brand. We found Rossignol, a great brand. It's got recognition right up there with McDonald's and everything else in the world. And a global brand, bought it, paid too much, spent a lot of money on it, rekindling the deck, and then we had everything was fine and ready to go, and then two things happened. One, they had the worst winter in 100 years in Europe, where most of the business is done. They were finding crevasses open with parts of Napoleon's army down there perfectly preserved. There's that kind of a winter. Instead of lifts opening up, there's tumbleweeds blowing down the street, It's really bad. So whenever you have a seasonal business like that, it puts it back a couple years. Nobody can pay their bill. These are just small shops up and down all the Alps, and can't pay their bill. They can't reorder. They can't buy next year's product. So it really sets you back a long ways. So we had that going on, and then by the time we got kind of through that, in 2009, it was Lehman Brothers falling off the cliff, and we had to get rid of Rossignol. Couldn't find a buyer, so we basically gave it away, and that created a lot of debt. So that was probably we've had so many great things, but that was definitely the one that I wish I could, go back in time and reset and not do.
Okay. Anybody else want to share?
They have no setbacks. You have to have a setback.
I think my biggest one, he touched on it before, is partners. I chose partners poorly with a business, and it ended up, we were able to sell the business, but it was the wrong people. We sold it for way less than we should have. They were big business people. They weren't entrepreneurs. And it was just unfortunate. And there were people that you were friends with that I don't talk to anymore. They don't talk to me, so it's mutual. But the thing that came out of it is, a mentor and someone else said to me, "Hey, you're going to have other good ideas, and you're always going to land on your feet. So get after it, go do the next thing, and move on." And we did, and we've built from that. But it's tough when you're picking partners, and I think that's a whole other panel at some point.
I would agree.
I would just say that there aren't any failures in business. There's just learning experiences.
There you go. All right, well, before we open the room up for questions from the audience, there's one last topic I'd like to discuss, the connection between our local business and our community. How much of a role does the local business community play in strengthening and supporting Huntington Beach?
I think that I will start with this because we definitely are aimed at the locals of Huntington Beach, and we are locals. It's kind of for locals, by locals, and kind of creating Huntington Beach as a culinary destination with that in mind. Boy, community is so great. I mean, I can't brag about it more, especially to my friends that are in Newport Beach or in Costa Mesa. I mean, we have a community that once you get in and you know who your neighbors are, you know who those locals are, they want to support you. They want to see you succeed. They want to be a part of your brand. And I've never worked anywhere or a part of anything where you have such a strong local following. So honestly, I've got to say that this is probably one of the best communities you could do business in. And we're very grateful for the locals and the support that we've received over the years.
Great. Anybody else?
Well, our first store opened here, and the support of the city council, the tourist group here, everything's just been beyond the charts. I wish we'd have that in every other city we're in. The fact is that Huntington Beach is the standard for how they help small businesses.
Great. Well, I think our panelists have probably heard enough questions from me. I know many of you in the audience probably have questions, and so now I'd like to open it up. I believe the mic is somewhere right there by Jerry over there. So please, if you have questions, line up. We have time for just a few questions.
You got to come to me.
Hello, my name is Quentin Kronk. I'm a student at Golden West College, and I'm just as a young person getting ready to enter the world. What would you give an advice for me? I'm transferring to UC Davis in the fall, and I'm going to major in public service. But how can I utilize that and make the best career for me? And eventually, I want to come back to my home city of Huntington Beach. And I'm truly afraid because of how everything is. I want to live here, but what advice would you have for me?
I think if you have an idea, either product or services that you think is really sensational and has some good merits, one of a kind, whatever you want to call it, sometimes it's good to go find a job within a company that does that so you can learn basically on their dime. So when you come out of there, you've got a wealth of information, knowledge, etc. before you go put hard money into it and all that kind of stuff. So I always recommend to go, whatever your field is, to go work there somewhere and learn it before you go out, because otherwise you can spend your whole time jumping over hurdles that you could have learned at the job and spending all your money that you could have saved had you known the stuff that you know now after the job. So I recommend that.
I would say the same thing Bob did, except I'd add one other thing. To find something that you're passionate, you're interested in. And if you're interested in being an entrepreneur, then work under an entrepreneurial company. If you're interested in working in big business, then obviously get a job at corporate America.
We have an organization we've started in Huntington Beach with Aaron Sassoonian and myself. It's the Young Entrepreneurs of Huntington Beach. And the whole purpose of the group, it's powered by the Chamber of Commerce, is to take young entrepreneurs underneath 40 years old and network amongst each other and give each other the skills and the support to be able to go out there and have that career or have that business that you would like. So as you come back from UC Davis, we'll be here to hold your hand back into the business world.
Yeah, I just want to add, go out, experience things in other places, and it gives you a different perspective on what you have here, and you can appreciate it more, and you can see how other people don't do it as well, and so you can come back and really appreciate it. And there's government jobs as well to support entrepreneurs, so I think go out, experience a lot, and then come back and make your mark.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Spencer Hageman. I go to Ocean View High School here in Huntington Beach. I was just wondering, how important is the support of a city government when you're choosing your location for a business?
Very important.
Let me just put it this way, you don't want them to be your enemy. And there's no reason for them to be. The services that they provide are necessary, whether it's the fire department, the police department. At some point, if you have a business, you're going to need all that. So you need to make sure that you're in with the Economic Development Council, if there is one. The tourism, Huntington Beach particularly, tourism is a huge part of it, and if you're in that type of business, that's important. So all those factors are part. Tom Bach, I don't know if Tom's in the room, but Tom's played a very key role being on the board of directors of this organization and been very influential in the community, and that's helped us tremendously as we build our brand worldwide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's it going? My name's Claude. I'm also an aspiring entrepreneur with a clothing brand, student at Golden West College. My question's for Mr. McKnight. I'm doing all that bootstrapping and all that stuff. I'm pretty much wearing every single hat. And I just wanted to know what method of sale or what tactic worked best when you were out on the beach actually trying to sell your product, because I find one of my biggest issues is actually like I meet people, I talk to them, you know, and we get to know each other, et cetera, but then you like drop the bomb, like, yeah, hey, I have this clothing company, check it out. What method did you find to be the easiest when trying to offer that up to people and really promote your brand?
Well, first of all, the part about wearing a million hats, it's kind of goes with the territory. So, by the way, enjoy these days because you'll look back on them very fondly. But what we did, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what your products are, but we started with board shorts. We had a single product. That's all we started with. And I look at all the great clothing companies, they've usually have a great single product that they can always put their flag over. You know, Nike with their shoe, Levi with their denim jean. It goes on and on and on. Izod, the golf shirt, whatever. So for us, it was board shorts, and it still is. That's our banner waving flag. So it was really easy for us to, you know, go to the beaches up and down this coast, the East Coast, Hawaii, you know, just take all the best beaches in the world and find young kids that are good looking and who rip out in the water and have charisma. And the combination of those three is, it's just the same as today finding, you know, celebrities that back your products. So you put board shorts on that kid, he rips, he has 10 friends who aspire to be him, they have 10 friends, so it just goes on and on and on. We have a kid right here who came out of here, Kanoa Igarashi, who's now on the world tour. But he started just like that. He was a young kid, about 6 years old, and just this beautiful little Japanese haole kid. And put shorts on him, and he's been with us ever since. But we know that kids like that sell product. So if you have a guy like that in the town, you can always then go back into the shops in the town and go, well, here's the bomb. We have this great product. We have good price points. And we also sponsor, you know, Kanoa. And they usually react to that kind of, you know, connection of product, athlete, charisma, character, humor, whatever, and the store. So that's the formula we used, and we still use it today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Joan. I'm your city clerk, and I've lived in the city for 50 years. And one thing I've really noticed about the businesses in the city is their generosity. So I would ask you, did you put charitable giving, did you actually plan for that in your business plan? And would you recommend it? And what do you get? Even though it's not your reason for giving, what do you get back as a business?
Well, it's an important part of our business model, and we set and budget for it every year. And there's a lot of people that call and ask for money, and you have to kind of identify. We've just set up a system and a program where, in our case, our electric bikes are a very valuable charity product, and they auction them off. And we've learned over time that if we just simply donate a bike and they give it away in a silent auction or a raffle, it doesn't generate enough money. We've learned that the best way to do it is with a live auction, and it generally generates about twice as much of the income. So we make that now part of our program. So as we go forward and learn with each of our dealers, we basically provide them a product to give away in a community at half the price of what they would pay ordinarily. Basically, we go in at half price, and they put up the half, and that gives them the opportunity to donate bikes or to use them in charity events.
Thank you for generosity.
Thank you.
My name is Andrew Hard. I'm the owner of Freedom Boat Club in Huntington Beach. And currently, we're looking at expanding the business to some locations up and down the coast. And you had all talked about, or a few of you had talked about partnerships. And I guess that was my question is, what are the top things you would say to look for in a partnership? And what are some of the top red flags in a partnership?
Make sure you have a very good attorney and have a lot of great contracts that are thoroughly read and signed before you enter an agreement with your partner, and make sure you're thinking with the end in sight as if it were to go sour, and have everything scheduled out for just in case that were to happen. Not all partnerships are bad, but once you start adding ego and money and business and stress involved, I mean, you see the worst of the people that you're around. And so that's how a lot of times these things end up sour. So you just want to make sure that you're walking into a situation like that with yourself properly protected. The other thing I would say is that now that you're an established business, you probably can go out there and get money. And it's always that first business where you have to bootstrap and beg, borrow, steal, basically, to get that first business open. But now that you're established, if you go out there and look for financing, I mean, financing's out there. And I know we offer a lot with the County of Orange. And so you might not need to get a partner. You might be able to do this on your own. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, on behalf of the audience and the Huntington Beach Chamber of Commerce and our entire business and local community, I'd like to thank each of the panelists for taking time out of their busy schedules today. Thank you all so much.